What's going on, y'all? So I just got out from seeing The Flash, and I know that everyone's probably curious what my thoughts were, what I thought about it, and I kind of want to give those to you briefly now. To summarize, I'm going to start off by summarizing, just to say, do I think the movie's good? Yes. And that's a loaded question. Trust me. There's a lot with this movie I'm going to talk about. Good and bad. Mostly, I don't want to say mostly bad, but most of the stuff I'm going to talk about is the bad stuff. But I will say, there were multiple points in the film that had me smiling as a DC Comics fan. Multiple stuff in the film that had me surprised as a DC Comics fan. And at the end of the day, I walked out of the theater and I told myself, hey, I had a good time. So, with that being said, that's leading me to say that it was a good movie for me. Because I went with friends and they had the polar opposite opinion of me, which I agreed with a lot of the stuff that they said. But again, at the end of the day, I enjoyed the movie, so I thought it was a good movie. Now, to get into a lot of the problems I had with the film, I don't like Ezra Miller as Barry. I don't think that he fits him very well. I don't think he does. I didn't like how he was kind of almost too comedic in the film. Like, one thing, like, okay, Flash is the comedic relief character, right? And so in a film like Justice League, where you have serious characters like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman, right? You need somebody like the Flash to be your comedic relief. You need a character like that when he's around all these other super serious ones. Because as a movie, if everybody's super serious, it's just going to get stale and boring real fast. You need somebody to break that with comedic relief, right? That's why the Flash is that in the Justice League films. Well, now he's the star of his own movie. He doesn't need to be the comedic relief. He's the star. Just because, yeah, the Flash can be a comedic character at some times, doesn't mean that he needs to like not be serious. Doesn't mean he needs to continue to just be comedic. And it's not like it happens all the time throughout the film. Let me switch hands. It's not like it happens all the time throughout the film, but it does happen quite often. And there are times where he is serious, right? Like there's a couple scenes in the Batcave where he especially gets mad at younger Barry for messing around too much and doing this and that. Yeah, he does get serious at some points, but there's a lot of points in the film where he's just not taking it seriously. I'm trying to think of what else. Okay, so the big elephant in the room, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton as Batman was awesome. It's every bit as awesome as you think it's going to be. But after seeing the film, so the movie is basically a Flashpoint movie, or it's trying to be, right? Well, in the original Flashpoint comic series as well as the movie, it wasn't a different universe version of Batman. It was Thomas Wayne. He was Batman. Well, I think that they didn't go with that because they didn't think that Thomas Wayne would have been enough to put people in seats, but Michael Keaton Batman would have been. So yeah, it's cool, but when you look at it through the lens of like, oh, they only put Michael Keaton Batman into this movie to put people in the seats when this really should have been Thomas Wayne, it makes you kind of change your outlook on it just a little bit. There were aspects of Michael Keaton that I really liked because, again, like I was freaking out. I was so excited watching him do what he does, right? Michael Keaton was, I grew up watching 1989 Batman. That's one of my favorite incarnations of the character. So it was awesome to see him back on screen, of course. But there were some things like where he, like, I guess had retired being Batman. I don't know. I kind of didn't want that, first of all. And second of all, it's so hard to tell, because they kind of teased it as being like, oh, this is, well, again, they never really even said it, but the way that it's presented in the trailers, at least, is like, oh, this is Michael Keaton's Batman, like the one from Batman 1989, the one from Batman Returns, etc., etc. But when you really listen to the story, and when you really, like, are listening to the explanation of the multiverse and how it's working, it's almost like Michael Keaton's Batman is not the same Michael Keaton Batman from the Michael Keaton Batman films, because things in there are not entirely the same, and I don't know. It just, Michael Keaton was hit and miss for me. Like I said, most of the time it was a hit, but there's I'm left with a bad taste in my mouth of, like, the only reason why they put him in the movie was because they didn't think Thomas Wayne would have sold. That doesn't make me feel good. Another thing, Sasha Calle as Supergirl, I thought was sick, but there's one thing that I think, like, I thought she was really good already. I really did. There's one thing that I wish Barry did that would have made it even better. And that one thing is, he somewhat kind of explains to her about Kal-El a little bit, but that's it. There's a scene where she's talking to younger Barry, and she's trying to talk to him about how, hey, Earthlings suck, humans suck, like, right? And he's like, yeah, there's some, what does he say? There's some dicks. Yeah, some people can be dicks sometimes, right? Well, she leaves that conversation basically being like, well, I don't really care about these people. I don't really care about them. And she does end up caring about them. She does end up doing what's right and the right thing. But what I think would have elevated that and kind of been like a deeper, like more rich thing, would have been if Barry had told her, like, exactly what Kal-El had done, exactly the type of person that Kal-El was and became and turned into in that version of events that she knows happened in another reality, but not in this one. It really would have, at least I think, heightened, because again, she does eventually do the right thing. She does eventually fight Zod. She does eventually, but all of that stuff that happens with her would have been doing, it would have done nothing but been escalated if we as the audience knew that she found out and knew the type of person that Kal-El was, right? Because she would have been fighting Zod, she would have been fighting this battle, kind of knowing that my cousin was a success in another reality. I need to live up to that. And it wasn't something, like, there's a scene where she saves this helicopter. Like, she saves this group of, I mean, not this group, but this helicopter was destroyed and it was going down, right? So she goes, she saves it. Why did she do that? When she was just saying, she wasn't just saying, because there's a scene in the middle where she says, I don't care about Earthlings, and then she kind of warms up to them when she sees that Barry is a good person, and she has that conversation with him, like, well, why did you help me, blah, blah, blah. But I think that, because here's the thing, Superman is a good person. Superman does good things, and by Superman I mean Kal-El, I mean Clark Kent. But he does those good things because he saw with his own eyes the best in humanity and grew up with the best of humanity in Ma and Pa Kent, in Martha Kent and John Kent. He grew up with the best of humanity. That's why he does the right thing. That's why he does what's right. That's why he's able to see the best in people when they don't deserve it. It's because of his adoptive parents. In the movie, she has one conversation that completely changes her perception of human beings. That's why I wished they had a scene where she kind of undertook this, like, oh, Kal-El was this type of person. He did this in a past, in another reality. This was him. This is who he was. I want to be like that. I need to, if this already happened in another reality, I need to live up to this representation of my cousin. Because there's even a scene later on where Zod tells her that he killed Kal-El as an infant. He killed him. And I think that she was already mad. I think that if Barry had told her about Kal-El and about Superman and how he was in another reality and how he beat Zod, if he had told her that scene of Zod telling her that he killed Kal-El, that would have been even more heightened, because she would have not only been mad that he killed her cousin, but mad that he killed Zod in another reality and won this fight that she's currently fighting now. But now, in this reality, he's already killed Kal-El. That would have been so deep, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I need to speed this along. Wow, I'm already at 11 and a half minutes. What else? Okay, my biggest gripe with the film is that it's called The Flash. It's paying homage to every single thing in the DC universe except Flash. Like, we saw so many different incarnations of Superman, so many different incarnations of Batman. They had one flashback scene to, like, Jay Garrick, but that's it. Like, where's the Flash love in this movie? Like, they pay homage to, like, nothing from his history and from, you know, they pay so much homage to Superman and Christopher Reeve and Michael Keaton Batman and Batman and tons of other Batmans. Like, don't get me wrong, that's cool. I'm a DC fan, right? So of course I love to see that stuff. But when you really put it into perspective and you really are looking at this movie and it's like, this is a Flash movie. Why am I seeing different incarnations of Superman? Why am I seeing different incarnations of Batman? Where's Flash? This is his movie. That was another big gripe I had with the film. There's another scene that I thought could have been really good character development for young Barry. And it's a scene, if you guys remember, older Barry tells younger Barry about a time when he first gets his powers and when Zod is there and he ends up saving this child but couldn't save the father. And he told him that story kind of like he had regrets, right? Well, fast forward to when Zod's destroying the planet and Supergirl is there, right? Well, we see that dad and that child again. I was hardcore thinking like, oh, dude, this is when young Barry, he's going to be put in that situation, and having already heard what he heard, and having already been put through the trials and tribulations of being the Flash, he's going to have that character development moment. He's going to have that breaking moment of, he's going to save the boy and the dad. He's going to save both. Well, we see the dad and the boy, and we see the machine, and then it never cuts back to them. That's it. What was the point of him telling that story of him saving the boy and the dad, and then we see the boy and the dad later, and then what are we supposed to assume? They just died? Well, if they just died, then what was the point of him telling the story? There could have been a moment of them going and saving them, or whatever the case was. And then the ending. The ending was sad. Made me tear up a little bit. Not perfect. Overall, I think Flashpoint Paradox was a better film. That was made, like 10 years ago? Overall, I think it was a better film. I recommend this movie only if you're going for Michael Keaton, and if you're a DC fan and you want a lot of shout outs to past DC stuff. But other than that, I don't want to say I don't want to recommend the film, but it's just it's a I don't know, it's a good movie, but it's not focused. It's not, it just kind of does things. It's a movie that does cool things and doesn't really have a reason for doing those things. But anyways, guys, what did you guys think about the movie? Go ahead and sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Those are my biggest main points. Obviously, I have still some more smaller stuff, but those are my biggest main things I pulled away from the film. Let me know what you guys think about what I had to say. Do you agree, disagree? Comment down below. Let me know. And like always, I will talk to you guys later.